Today, we are talking about the highest level of Charlotte Mason literature lessons in high school. How do they differ from earlier levels? What sorts of books are assigned? Stay tuned to learn more. The 6th annual ADE at Home virtual conference is packed full of engaging content to help you on your Charlotte Mason journey. 30 speakers will be presenting more than 40 scheduled sessions on topics to meet every need. We hope you can join us. Welcome to A Delectable Education, the podcast that spreads the feast of the Charlotte Mason method. I'm Emily Kaiser, and I'm here with
Liz Cottrill
and Nicole Williams.
And sometimes I laugh when I hear people say that Charlotte Mason is light or not strenuous enough.
Yeah.
After spending years poring over her curriculum programs, I marvel at the caliber and variety of books that a Charlotte Mason student would read in their high school years, really even before that, but especially their high school years.
Yeah.
These are often more difficult and far more diverse than what I read in college. This is especially true, I think, in literature. So, Nicole, would you share with us what students in Forms 5 and 6, which is grades 10 through 12 or ages 15 to 18, what would they be reading for literature?
They actually read a few fewer books at this point, but they had such greater weight, the books.
Physically, they were far heavier.
Right. I meant that exactly. 5 to 8 titles per term, though. There was at least one drama assigned every term, sometimes two, because she pulled in some of the Greek tragedies or other contemporary plays from the time period that they were studying. Sir Walter Scott usually dropped just one of those per year, and then other books like Dickens' Tale of Two Cities, George Eliot's Silas, is it Marner?
Yeah.
Gaskell's North and South, things like that were pulled in, so they were reading those as well. There's essays read in every term now.
Yeah.
And some of those examples are like Ruskin's Sesame and Lilies, and something on Carlyle, Addison Papers. That they were just a very important part of these upper high school students' education. They were also reading poetry anthology, but beyond just the anthology, with the anthology, they had like Oxford Book of English Verse, Walter de la Mare's Come Hither, but there was also, I don't have it written down here, I guess, but there was like a anthology of modern verse, which I thought was interesting because they were keeping up with their historical time period, but they also were always reading modern verse.
Yeah, their life.
But it is like 1800s through, so it was even a little like generation before.
Okay. Okay. They also read like an epic or world classic once a year at this stage. Milton's Paradise Lost, Dante. In translation, of course, Chaucer. Previously, they would have maybe read a little bit of Chaucer, just little parts of it. Now they're reading much more of it. And Coleridge, just some really heavy things that they're reading, really thought-provoking things. Charlotte Mason described this stage. She said the reading for Forms 5 and 6 is more comprehensive and more difficult. But young people who have been brought up on this sort of work may be trusted to have a good knowledge of, actually she used a French word there, I don't know what it is. It means a good knowledge of the best that is being produced in their own days. And she said these readings will lead to much reading round and about in later days, equipping the students to exercise the imaginative judgment every citizen needs. They're still using a commonplace book and doing a lot of narration to self at this point, for sure. She said, these young students have the powers of perfect recollection and just application because they have read with attention and concentration and have in every case reproduced what they've read in narration or the gist of some portion of it in writing. Also by this stage, she says they're practicing the art of weighing and discussing great ideas and becoming the statesman at the best sense. So we're thinking like novels and stuff. This is just fun, but there are things in these books, weighty issues that are being considered and grappled with. So, and I would just go back to something she said when she was talking about the Form 2 student. She said, "We spread an abundant and delicate feast, and each small guest assimilates what he can."
Yes.
And I would say that even at this summit, steady growth and not exhaustive mastery remains the goal.
Amen. That's
And
such
when
a
you
good
say
point.
latter days, she's talking about the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as we were setting up readers for the rest of their lives, their weekly lessons, they did 2 a week for 30 minutes. And they don't have reading. It's just all under literature at this point. So those were both to be used maybe at the child's discretion. Maybe you would make some suggestions of which they would be reading. But probably they're going to have their lessons for their Greek drama. It's maybe a little more challenging. Essays, but maybe not. Maybe that's still part of the lighter portion. Their literary biography that they included as well. And again, they still have holiday and evening reading. That's listed that has been provided for. Holiday and evening reading has been provided for. So the lighter portions of the program, the novels, the poetry, and the drama or play. They do have reading lessons, because you know what I found there?
Oh, yes.
The speaking voice.
Yeah.
It doesn't have their books that they're practicing reading. They actually have a reading lesson.
Right.
That is vocal exercises
Exactly.
to get their reading up. So
Right.
all of the books have moved off onto the literature portion that we saw in earlier forms, but they actually were still to be improving their reading.
Yep.
And I think that's a question because people wonder where to do that in recitation, because they don't have recitation lessons anymore. So that's actually
Right.
under there. As far as the individual lessons go, we have the same general format as all the other ones, but the students are almost always going to be reading to themselves in these lessons. So they're recalling the last lesson. They might, maybe occasionally you would want to do an oral lesson to introduce a new author or a theme that is prevalent in the terms reading. Maybe you're reading about a significant historical event that really greatly influenced the literature that they're reading. You might do something like that. That might excite their interest, in that book or that essay, but probably not every single lesson are they going to have that. They're going to read to themselves, and then they're going to narrate. And there was notes that they were to read one day and 2 days later write the narration. So we see even their narration is being stretched at this level to be able to recall something that they read 2 days prior. They also might write essays in verse on their literature book. So it's not just straight narration, not just a telling back. I think discussion at this point is still very important, though. Students of the 5th and 6th forms who had read a great deal are learning to make their own criticisms and comparisons that are not dictated by their teacher or by a textbook that's giving them those ready-made opinions. They can recognize an author's style and some of its distinguishing qualities, Miss Agnes Drury said. So all of those things, that was a whole quote from Miss Drury. So on their exams, I think this shows the breadth of what was assigned. There were many choices, but they were being asked to make much more analysis, and personal opinion was asked for directly in their exam answers. This is not simply a reporting of what the book contained, but how they're interacting with it. Their literature and exam and their composition exam both covered the literature of the day, as well as some other things in composition. And so that, again, allows for students who haven't maybe finished all of it, even though they were expected to read all of what was assigned before the next term. Their objectives for their literature lessons were to have a better sense of how people lived and thought in different times and places. To increase their interest in knowledge for its own sake, right? This is what sets them up for the rest of their life. Charlotte Mason said, "This course of reading, it will be seen, is suggestive and will lead to much reading round about it in later days," as you said, Nicole. So this really is setting them up to continue their education throughout the rest of their life. In short, she said, literature has become a living power in the minds of these young people. So it really develops them as persons and their opinions and judgments. So as far as teacher prep, hopefully your job will be a little more far more enjoyable, because I hope you're reading this stuff. If this is the type of work that she's expecting adults to read, that's what we should be reading too. So you can, if you read along with your student. So I would say help them come up with a schedule for the term, or how they're going to tackle all of these things, which ones they're going to read during their literature lesson. Make sure they have habits of reading daily. And again, we have just a few more years with them under our roof, probably. So hopefully these habits that we have been instilling are created for life. And again, just to read along with them, maybe not with them specifically, but at the same time, like a little family book club. So you can have understanding, sympathy with them and discuss.
And I think the point that you're making here is that reading was supposed to be an integral part of their life. It was not an optional activity.
Right.
Like, well, I just don't like to read.
Right.
She would not have countenanced that whatsoever.
Right.
Probably.
She talks about an educated person is a reading person, right?
Right.
Well, before you go.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're not reading, you're not thinking.
Yes,
she
exactly.
Even said that.
She did. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of resources to share today for Form 5 and 6. We do have some notes of lessons. They're going to be listed under Class 4. That is not the same thing as Form 4. It's the same thing as 5 and 6. They changed how they called forms, even in her life. And so I would just show you our Shakespeare planner, because there are denoted in here which place she reserved only for these higher forms of his work. But again, that's not all the drama that they're reading.
And these are busy years, the high school years. And I think it's interesting, Nicole was reading before we started here today a quote of Charlotte Mason where she said, we're basically bringing them up to the level where most adults read. And so I would challenge you to look at what she expected an adult to be reading.
And the quantity that they were to be
Yes.
reading in the same period of time. Do you read this many books in 3
Right.
months?
Yeah. And well, I do, but
I was asking the listener.
so I'm just saying it is possible to do if that is a value in your life. But, as I said in the last episode about Form 4, that these are busy years, and it's just really important. We are still the overseeing teacher to not let them just kind of skimp on all of this reading. It's not okay for them to get through 1 or 2 novels a year. They do have to be reading a lot of this poetry and plays and the Greek dramas and all of the rest, the essays, and learning how to plow through things that they wouldn't normally pick up, because we're developing the taste that they should have for the rest of their life. So, and I would just say, audiobooks are readily available in all the classics. So if they have to listen to some of them while they're driving to their extracurricular events, that would be better than not getting through them at all. But help them to navigate the balancing of school and work. This is still the priority. Their social life is super important, but they have to learn how to do what they're expected to do before they pursue a lot of outside things. So help them choose between all those extras, not at the expense. That's their school assignments.
We'll be right back. Feeling the need for fresh inspiration in your homeschool? Mark your calendar for February 6th and 7th, 2026. It's the return of the AD at Home virtual conference brought to you by A Delectable Education. This 2-day online event is packed with practical sessions rooted in the Charlotte Mason philosophy, designed to equip, encourage, and re-energize you, the homeschool teacher. Whether you're just beginning your Charlotte Mason journey or looking to deepen your understanding, you'll get expert training from Emily, Liz, and Nicole, as well as dozens of experienced Charlotte Mason teachers, plus access to live meetups and Q&A, as well as opportunities for robust online community engagement. Can't make it live? No worries. Every session is recorded for you to watch at your own pace for 3 months after the live conference ends. Don't miss this opportunity to be equipped and encouraged. Register now at adelectableeducation.com and bring the feast home. We'll see you there. As we close each series, we like to devote an episode to practical concerns and questions about that subject. So we hope you'll join us next time as we continue to spread the feast of the Charlotte Mason Method and conclude our series on literature. If you benefited from this conversation, please like and subscribe. We hope our discussion serves to equip and encourage you as we seek to explain the Charlotte Mason Method. You can find the show notes in the video description or by visiting adelectableeducation.com/episodes. There, you'll find the links and quotes we mentioned in today's episode. We are so grateful for our loyal Patreon supporters who help make this show possible. If you'd like to partner with us in our work here at A Delectable Education, you can join our Patreon community and receive exclusive and early content as our thank you for your monthly support. Find out more at patreon.com/adelectableeducation. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.